or let's say they had two modifications. Now they went through COVID. And during those 2 years, where basically the world shut down, what it seemed like, now you've got an extra 2 years of mortgage payments. So people are saying to me, Matt, you don't know what you're talking about. Actually, I do know what I'm talking about, because these people either tapped into their equity lines when the interest rates were super low. Think about this for a second. The interest rates were so low that people refied their houses and ATM the shit out of those properties, and they were pulling the equity out, right? Now they've got higher mortgage, maybe a lower interest rate, but now they have maybe no equity in their house, or little to no equity in their house. What do you think is going to happen over the next couple of years if those people lose their house? Sorry, if they lose their job, or if they have to relocate, or if there's a divorce, or if there's a death in the family, or maybe, one of the breadwinners in the house, mostly women these days, they lose their job. Now what? Now the husband's, he's shit out of luck, because he's already sucked the equity out of the house. The reality is, people don't realize, but if you go late on your mortgage, it's going to have such a massive impact. So that's why I say, these people that are pulling out equity lines in their property, or pulled up equity lines in the property, or maybe sometime along the way over the last couple of years, maybe they had medical bills. Maybe they didn't pay attention to them. Maybe they got judgments against them. Maybe there's judgments against the property. I would say probably in 23, I've been brought into at least 4 scenarios where people thought there was equity in their property and there wasn't, because they did a modification and they didn't know what they signed. So there's a lot of factors that come into what's going on in 2023. So the other thing that is upsetting to me is that the government was telling people, hey, do a forbearance, reach out to your mortgage company, explain to them you can't pay their mortgage. You know what happened? People were taking advantage of it. People just stopped paying their mortgage and say, hey, I can't pay it. But think about this. Did you really think you were going to go into a forbearance and the mortgage industry wasn't going to come back around and say, okay, well, you owe us $80,000 of back payments now. The forbearance was only supposed to be for 3 months, but now we went over, 18 months, and now we're going across almost into 2 years. We have to do a loan modification. Okay, no problem. Now they're looking at your hardship, and they're looking at your tax returns for the last 2 years. Uh-oh. Did you commit fraud? Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
This is scary. So I tell people in 2023, get ready. Mark this on your calendar, because this is where things are going to get crazy. How many modifications did they do? How many forbearances did they do? Did they do a deferment? Do you know that if you started your mortgage and let's say you paid into it for 9 years and you had a 30-year mortgage, and now all of a sudden you're doing a deferment because you couldn't pay 2, 3 years, whatever it is, and your lender allowed it, now you're tacking on 3 years back onto your payment at the end. So you're thinking that, hey, I only owe X amount of money. But the reality is, if your mortgage statement doesn't look correct to you, or if you think it doesn't look correct, contact your lender, because you're going to think you owe one number and it's not going to be that number. Now, I'm not saying the market itself is going to collapse. It's strange. Interest rates high, people are overpaying, and we're going to have people that are going to start foreclosing on their houses. So it's going to be a very interesting ride over the next couple of years. So just think about this when you're going for a listing. How long have they been in the property? Pull the tax records. Look at those tax records. See if there's any inconsistencies. Ask the homeowners, because I can tell you right now, I'm hearing from agents now, they're saying, hey, this house I was supposed to list for $800,000. It's only worth like, $750, maybe $800, but they owe almost $1 million on it. What am I supposed to do? Short sale. So when someone says to you, there's no short sales, they really don't know what you're talking about. Has anybody asked any questions so far?
No questions, but we've had a lot of people join us from different places. We have agents from Georgia. We have agents in Houston. We have agents. I know I saw Joe Rosen from Port St. Lucie, Florida. So I was just wondering if agents that are watching us live, go ahead and let us know where you're from. Gregory from Staten Island, New York. Some of my clients are on here. I saw Ara, Gregory's my client. Ara's here from Florida as well. So yeah, you're nationwide here with these agents. So
Literally. So the other thing is too, like anybody that's on here, I'm very easily accessible. And obviously, if you don't have my information, Jay.
Yeah, we'll announce it at the end how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So anybody has any questions, concern. So, things to think about as far as, being a real estate agent, right? Things that people need to understand when you're dealing with people that are in distress. This isn't a normal transaction, right? So you want to be considerate and you want to be caring. Just because it's a short sale doesn't mean that somebody's going to steal the property. Just because it's a short sale and it's an estate sale doesn't mean that you're going to steal the property anyway. Now, whether it's a buyer or whether it's a seller, really as a real estate agent, you have to understand their needs. If it's a buyer who's trying to buy a property and they've got to be out of their rental in 2 months and they're trying to buy a short sale, that might not be the property for them. Maybe it would make sense because I work with both sides. I work with the sell side, but I also work with the buyer side. I get brought in on short sales for agents that are buyers that are trying to, make a match with people that have properties that are in distress. The reason why I say that is because people don't understand. You might say you understand, but most people really don't understand how a short sale works and the characteristics of it. So whether you're the listing agent or the buyer's agent, even if you don't want to reach out to me, reach out to somebody that you think knows about short sales because you could easily blow a transaction. Maybe you're working with the homeowner for 3 months. They don't like the way you work. I don't care who you are as an agent. It's important that you understand this. The bank doesn't care who you are either. So if it's a distressed sale and you say, well, I'm not going to release my listing and I don't care what anybody says, I got news for you. The bank will have something to say. And in some cases, I've actually had to call brokers and say, you might want to get out of the way because the bank is not happy that your agent is holding this property hostage. And they did not do what they promised they were going to do. But the other thing that I talked about before is listening appointment, listing appointment, listening and listing. Very important. When you're talking with somebody who's in trouble, let them talk. Listen to what they're saying. Listen. I guarantee you have more of success in that versus just, carrying on and talking about how great you are. Honestly, it's a distressed sale. Most of the time, they have no equity in the property. They're not making any money. They don't give a shit about you. All they want to know is, can you help them? Yes or no? It's really that simple. All right. Obviously, buyers need to understand they have to be patient. When it comes to a short sales can take anywhere between 30 to 120 days. I would say, on average, if I had to average it out, we get short sales done in about 3 months. That's from beginning to end. That's from, getting the phone call, the homeowners dragging their feet, getting us the documentation, getting a property listed, finding a buyer, having someone come in, do an evaluation of the property, and then, back and forth if we can, because, some lenders don't let you negotiate, and the price is the price, and that's it. So there's a lot of things that have to be done ahead of time to prevent what's going on. Obviously, as a real estate agent, you want to set your expectations for their client. Again, whether it's a seller, whether it's a buyer, please don't bullshit these people, because in the end, all it's really going to do is ruin your reputation as an agent and piss off a buyer and really upset a homeowner who's in trouble. I've seen real estate agents drive people straight into foreclosure, and I would get brought in and I say, hey, at this point, they already used your adjournments. I didn't, in Jersey, we have adjournments. We have 2 statutory adjournments. They're 2 30-day adjournments. Other states don't have that. New Jersey has it. So be lucky that if you live in New Jersey, you have it. So when someone says, hey, we got time, how do you know that you have time? Have you contacted your lender? No. Have you opened up any of your mail? I see you got a hamper over there in the corner with 9,000 letters in it. Did you open one of those letters? No. And to sit there, I mean, that was back in the day. Now I don't do it, but I used to sit there for hours and go through the paper. And it was all from, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do a waterfall review, we'll give you X amount of money to leave your property. Like, oh my God, this is great. I'm like, those deals are gone. So I tell people, communicate, find out what's going on. Please be transparent. And most importantly, for the love of God, run a title report. The title report is like building a house. Framing, foundation, footing. Footing, foundation, framing. If you take a house and you build it out of wood and you put it on dirt, what's going to happen? It's going to fall apart. Same thing if you put it on a foundation. Needs a footing. You ever see where a house slides off of a foundation? It's because what? The footing wasn't put in place properly. Title does that. So get a relationship, have a relationship with a title company, and ask them if they're investor friendly. Ask them if they've worked with short sales, because it's important, right? Take these resources and that I'm giving you tonight, please, and take them to the heart. Take them to heart. People ask me all the time, where do you find people that are in distress? There's a couple different ways. Off-market distressed real estate really comes from like sites like RedX. You could literally go to your local county courthouse. You could take a look at properties that that are on the sale date, and a lot of these county sites are online, so you really don't even have to leave your house. And then you obviously could either skip trace it yourself, you could hire a company. Contact other realtors, network with them. I'm working with the real estate agent now who I actually met on a short sale, and he is so heavily entrenched now in distressed real estate. And believe it or not, again, it's not a plug for you, Jay. You know who it is. I'm not going to say who it is, but he asked, what do I do? I'm introducing him to my resources. People love the fact that if you know somebody and you can add value, if you can add value, it's going to be massive. So I help as many people as I can, and I give this information away because, quite honestly, like I say, I don't have competition. I don't look at people as competition. Everything and everyone is an opportunity to help. If you can help and distinct between helping and making money, you're going to be very successful in the distressed world. Investment clubs, contact attorneys, wholesalers. I got 4 short sales right now from wholesalers because there's no equity in the house. Talk about a warm lead. That's fucking on fire, that lead.
Wow, I never even thought of that. That's amazing.
Well, I train people on this. So this is what I do for a living.
Yeah,
But
no,
think
sure.
about it. Jay, think about that.
Yeah.